Hello, good people. This is Dyliard speaking, the CEO of the Open Wardrobe Gang, and welcome to yet another episode of our blind playthrough of Mass Effect Legendary Edition. In the very last episode, we've interacted with all of that side content that I've been ignoring throughout the playthrough. We've visited all of the levels of the Citadel, and I am happy to announce that all of the side quests that were available to us in here have been completed. Today we'll be doing something slightly different, as we'll be doing this 2-episode special of first reading the codex in this very one, and then following it up with just an ordinary episode in which we'll be going out into the unknown and probably interacting with all of those side quests out there in the galaxy. But as you guys can see, I'm here in the Presidium, in the diplomatic lounge. No, it's the embassy lounge. I have my boy Rex and Tally with us. We are overlooking this beautiful vantage point. And this will be our position for interacting with the codex. Alright, what do we have in here? I believe we farmed a considerable amount. 3 considering the primary, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 categories considering the secondary. No idea how many sub codex entries are hidden in there, but let's go with the primary first, shall we? Aliens, non-sapient creatures, okay. Oh, the Thresher Maws. Oh, I'm interested in this one. It's been a while. Shush. It's been a while since we've done the codex reading episode, so some of those entries might be a little bit outdated considering the current state of things, but let's see whether I can pinpoint every single one of them, considering, when we get those.
Thresher maws are subterranean carnivores that spend their entire lives eating or searching for something to eat. Threshers reproduce via spores that can lie dormant for millennia. They are robust enough to survive prolonged periods in deep space and atmospheric re-entry. As a result, thresher spores appear on many worlds, spread by previous generations of space travelers. The body of a thresher never entirely leaves the ground. Only the head and tentacles erupt from the earth to attack. In addition to physical attacks, threshers have the ability to project toxic chemicals.
Yep, we are familiar with this.
Infrasound as a shockwave weapon. The Alliance first encountered threshers on the colony of Akuz in 2177. After contact was lost with the Pioneer team, Marine units were deployed to investigate. The shore parties were set upon by hungry threshers, and nearly the entire assault force was killed. Alliance forces recommend engaging threshers with vehicle-mounted heavy weapons.
Yep, totally what we've done so far. This totally was obtained, I believe, possibly, after fighting our very first Thresher more in the Artemis Tau cluster. The image associated with this entry is absolutely hilarious, of someone wearing an armor akin to those of Williams, who's just running away from the thing. It's really surprising that they can, the spores can lie dormant for millennia. That's a long time. And also they can survive in deep space and survive a re-entry considering the atmosphere. That's absolutely impressive. I do wonder whether there is any level scaling in this very game. Whether the very next Thresher Maw that we encounter, possibly in the very next episode, right, when we will be going into the unknown, whether that one will be even more dangerous. But one can argue that we have not upgraded Mako in any particular way, right? So maybe they will be of similar danger. Yup. We'll see. Now, definitely our engineering is stronger, so repairing those long-range attacks will be definitely easier. Freaky ass shit. Planets and locations. What do we have here? Okay, Vermeer.
Two-thirds of Vermeer is a
Vermeer.
located on the frontier of the Attican Traverse. Its vast seas and orbital position on the inner life zone have created a wide equatorial band of humid, tropical terrain.
Ooh, excited about this one.
The political instability of the region has impeded efforts at colonization. Many times the Citadel has opened negotiations to settle Vermeer with various criminal gangs and petty dictatorships in the nearby terminus systems. All fell apart due to internal power shifts within the opposing parties. The Citadel has written off the colonization of Vermeer as impossible without significant political change. The terminus powers themselves are unlikely to ever settle Vermeer. Most lack the resources to support settlement of a virgin world, finding it more expedient to steal from their neighbors than build for themselves.
Yeah, this now sounds mighty interesting, right? Noveria, the entirety of the Noveria experience was this rather cold labs and obviously the cold and snowy outdoors with the glacier also, you know, making an appearance. I believe Pharaohs will be like this, what was it? Yeah, like this planet with like this old Prothean civilization, this great city. So also visually different, and I can't wait to go to Ferris. And then Vermeer will be like this lush and watery jungle planet. So many cool settings in this game, I have to say. Okay, and very last one, ships and vehicles.
Faster than light drives.
Okay, we have a two Sovereign, okay.
Sovereign is the flagship of the rogue Spectre's Saren. An enormous dreadnought larger than any other ship in any known fleet. It is crewed with both Geth and Krogan.
Oh,
At 2
okay.
kilometers long, its spinal-mounted main gun is likely capable of penetrating another dreadnought's kinetic barriers with a single shot.
Where did he get it?
How Saren acquired this incredible warship is unknown. The prevailing opinion is that Sovereign is a Geth construct, while others believe it is a Prothean relic.
Oh.
Its design, however, hints at a more alien and mysterious origin.
Even more mysterious than Prothean?
Demonstrated Sovereign's ability to generate mass effect fields powerful enough to land on a planetary surface. This implies it has a massive Element Zero core and the ability to generate staggering amounts of power.
Yeah, I remember the attack on the Eden Prime when, you know, we're like running towards this vista and someone was like, look at that ship, and I was totally standing next to a tree and I couldn't see it clearly. I was at that point not that aware of how impressive it was supposed to be, right? Most of the time in this game we spend you know, we spend time like in boots on the ground situations, or, you know, using Mako and stuff. So yeah, the space combat, which is like the very next entry that we'll be dealing with, is a little bit foreign to me as of now. Like the magnitude of it, we've read like a lot about, you know, all of the mass effect fields and like dealing with overheating and like all of these different ship categories, but we have yet to see it, and I'm very excited. For now, we've only been like flying around the galaxy with Normandy, right? Very interesting also that we cannot pinpoint like the origin of this ship entirely. Not necessarily Geth, maybe not Prothean also, mysterious origin.
Ship mobility dominates space combat. The primary objective is to align the mass accelerator along the bow with the opposing vessel's broadside. Battles typically play out as artillery duels, fought at ranges measured in thousands of kilometers.
Insane.
Though assaults through defended mass relays often occur at knife fight ranges, as close as a few dozen kilometers. Most ship-to-ship engagements are skirmishes between patrol vessels of cruiser weight and below, with dreadnoughts and carriers only deployed in full-scale fleet actions. Battles in open space are short and often inconclusive, as the weaker opponent typically disengages. Once a ship enters FTL flight, the combat is effectively over. There are no sensors capable of tracking them, or weapons capable of damaging them.
That's wacky.
The only way to guarantee an enemy will stand and fight is to attack a location they have a vested interest in, such as a settled world or a strategically important mass relay.
Very interesting, very interesting. Now I'm kind of getting excited for this space combat situation. After all, we are in the primary codex category, which usually deals with these like big events, right, that are mentioned, or like it expands on like these major things that we encounter. So maybe, just maybe, we'll get to see you know, the Normandy in action, or like the Sovereign. Who knows? That Saren will absolutely fuck us up in some way, shape, or form. Totally. When I usually think about impressive space combat, I usually think, for whatever reason, it's my nostalgia speaking, it's the Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, which starts off with this rather impressive space sequence. I mean, so much is happening on the screen. Droids shooting and ships flying, but I do wonder whether we will see something akin to that. Alright. And I believe that's it, considering the major ones. We are moving to the secondary ones. RIP my voice already. But we have some interesting ones, considering, you know, blinking categories. We have aliens, council and non-council races, so possibly more info on all of that. Good alien lore. Oh, a 3 over here. Okay. Square up. Alright. We have Asari religion, Solarians, and Turians biology. Alright, let's start with the Asari. The pantheistic mainstream Asari religion is Siari, which translates roughly as all in one. The faithful agree on certain core truths. The universe is a consciousness. Every life within it is an aspect of greater whole, and death is a merging of one's spiritual energy back into the greater universe consciousness. Okay, that was like a considerable rundown of this whole thing. Siarists don't specifically believe in reincarnation. Yeah, I was like thinking about reincarnation based on that previous line, but I guess they are not necessarily the same. They believe the spiritual energy returned to the universal consciousness upon death will eventually be used to fill new mortal vessels. I guess so, right? People dying, and you know, you're made up of atoms and stuff. You basically, you know, rot there, right, and disintegrate into, like, you know, spores that eventually are picked up or eaten by another thing. I guess that's what they are going for here. Siari became popular after the Asari left their homeworld and discovered their ability to meld with nearly any form of life. Okay. So religion is popular because the Asari have this way of, you know, connecting with all of the races. The ability is seen as proof that all life is fundamentally similar. Siari priestesses see their role as promoting unity between the disparate shards of the universe's awareness. Before the rise of Siari pantheism, Asari religions were as diverse as their political opinions. The strongest survivor of those days is the monotheistic religion worshipping the goddess Athame. Very Greek sounding. Like the Asari, the goddess cycles through the triple aspects of maiden, matron, and matriarch. Yeah, totally in line with like their political denomination. Okay, very interested. I very much enjoyed that. I can only hope that we get more like religion and like alien related stuff. It's always a pleasure to read. Okay, the Solarians, and I have no idea where we got when you got that when we got that one. Solarian Special Task Group. Okay, this is the the pep talk or like the catch up Shepard had with like the council, considering their spies and Vermeer or however the fuck you pronounce that. That's probably the origin. Solarian intelligence field agents are grouped into an organization called the Special Tasks Group. STG operators work in independent cells performing dangerous missions such as counter-terrorism, infiltration, reconnaissance, assassination, and sabotage. I guess this is a little bit more complicated than what we've seen in the very last episode, considering CSEC and whatever was going down in Korra's den. The STG is a proactive organization puncturing worrisome trends before they become movements. At any time, a dozen groups are operating covertly within the lawless terminus systems, sowing dissent among the various factions. Makes sense. Civilian analysts also note how troublesome hinge point individuals in Terminus frequently meet unexpected deaths. STG operators are feared throughout the galaxy for their clear-eyed, remorseless practicality. They are willing to do whatever it takes to achieve their mission, even if it kills civilians or results in the team's own destruction. Oh, devoted towards the cause. Are they just controlled by the Citadel and like the council, or is this like a group that you can kind of hire? Because it's the Solarian STG group, right? It has not mentioned the council just yet. Even if it kills civilians or results in the team's own destruction, in many ways they are akin to the council specters. Okay, akin but not similar, right? As in also working for the council directly. Recently, a number of STG cells have been redeployed from Solarian Union. It is assumed they are in Terminus and Attic Controllers, investigating reports of Geth activity beyond the Perseus Veil. Huh. Could that possibly mean that they are also investigating whatever the hell is going on with the Council and Shepard, and just Saren is using this force against us, and we don't know as of now? Oh. Or maybe whatever the hell will happen on Vermeer is like a setup, right? The STG group is truly working for Saren, and they are feeding us like the wrong mission, the wrong info, and something bad will happen on that mission. Maybe. We'll have to just wait and see. Turian's biology. This is interesting. Where might we have picked that one up? I don't know. Maybe it was like maybe it was like given to us when Garrus was talking about his backstory and that mad scientist that was growing organs inside patients. The Turian homeworld, Palaven, has a metal poor core generating a weak magnetic field and allowing more solar radiation into the atmosphere. To deal with this, most forms of life on Palaven evolve some form of metallic exoskeleton to protect themselves. The reflective plate-like skin makes Turians less susceptible to long-term, low-level radiation exposure, but they do not possess any sort of natural armor. I was about to say, Garrus, you're such a bitch, even though you have built-in armor and you always used to drop down to the ground first. Turian's thick skin does not stop projectiles and directed energy bolts. Yeah, makes sense. So just radiation. They would work great in the freaking Fallout universe, right? Although life on Palaven is carbon-based and oxygen-breathing, it is built on dextro amino acids. This places the Turians in a distinct minority on the galactic stage. The Quarians are the only other known sapient dextroprotein race. The food of humans, Asari or Solarians, who evolved in levo amino acid-based biospheres, will at best pass through Turian's system without providing any nutrition. What the hell do you eat, Garrus? At worst, it will trigger an allergic reaction that can be fatal if not immediately treated. Okay, I guess we cannot take our boy Garrus out to a fancy restaurant if we were to, you know, want to engage in romance with him. What do you guys eat? Just give me an example outside of this freaking science mumbo jumbo that I don't understand. Give me some examples, goddammit. Alright. Moving on, aliens, non-council races. What do we have here? Krogan culture, lovely, and Quarians, law and defense, and Quarians, religion. Yeah, this is probably all stemming from our lengthy discussions with Rex and Tally, huh? The harsh Krogan homeworld conditioned the Krogan physiology for toughness, as just as it did the body. Krogan have always had a tendency to be selfish, unsympathetic, and blunt. It's just how they are built. They respect strength and self-reliance and are neither surprised nor offended by treachery. The weak and selfless do not live long. In their culture, looking out for number one is simply a matter of course. Huh. Not the best teammates, probably. After their defeat in the rebellions, the very concept of Krogan leadership was discredited, where a warlord could once command enough power to bring entire solar systems to heel and become overlord. Okay, so there is someone to be known as a Krogan overlord. And I'm still not 100% sure on this, but I believe Rex would command like a party similar to his father. So was he like a warlord also? I didn't quite catch that in his backstory. Only that just everyone he commanded to that meeting on that one metal planet, metal sounding backstory, they all died very quickly. These days, it is rare for a single leader to have more than 1,000 warriors swear allegiance to him. I mean, I run a team of freaking 6 or 7 people. I could accept a couple hundred Krogans. That would be great. Most Krogan trust and serve no one but themselves. This solitary attitude stems in part from a deep sense of fatalism and futility, a profound social effect of the genophage that caused Krogan numbers to dwindle to a relative handful. Not only are they angry that the entire galaxy seems out to get them, the Krogan are also generally pessimistic about their race chances of survival. The surviving Krogan see no point to building for the future. There will be no future. The Krogan live with an attitude of kill, pillage, and be selfish, for tomorrow we die. Kind of totally understandable. It still raises my questions towards, can they truly rebuild their population? Like, if only one Krogan child in 1,000 survives, the odds are fucking terrible, right? But how many children can they produce, right? Considering, like, taking humans in mind, that would totally erase our our race eventually, right? But what about the Krogans? How do they look? How do they stack up to the humans? Alright, Quarians now. Although the Conclave establishes civil law much as any planet-based democracy, enforcement and trials are more unique. After the flight from the Geth, there were a few constables to police the millions of civilians aboard the fleet, so the Navy parceled out Marine squads to maintain order and enforce the law. Today, Korean Marines have evolved training and tactics akin to civilian police, but remain adept at combat in the confined spaces of a starship and fully under the command of the military. It would be unwise to, like, shoot out a window, considering the Korean fleet and the entire fucking ship blows up. Once taken into custody, the accused is brought before the ship's captain for judgment. Yeah, the most important figure. While the ship's council may make recommendations, tradition holds that the captain has absolute authority in matters of discipline. Most are lenient, assigning additional or more odious maintenance tasks aboard the ship. Yup, yeah. These are very community-driven people, so I would expect that they wouldn't want to over-punish a potential, pair of hands that could work for the community. Persistent recidivists are accidentally left on the next habitable world. That's hilarious. Accidentally. This practice of abandoning criminals on other people's planets is a point of friction between the Koreans and the systems they pass through. This is fucking hilarious, man. Captains rarely have another choice with space and resources at a premium. Supporting a non-productive prison population is not an option. Makes sense. Well, at least they unload them on like a planet and they don't unload them directly into the space. The void of space. In the early years, many Korean freighters were armed and used as irregular privateers. Civilian ships still show a strong preference for armament, making them unpopular targets for pirates. Though they have rebuilt their military, there are still mere hundreds of warships to protect tens of thousands of ships. The Korean Navy follows strict routines of patrol and takes no chances. If the intention of an approaching ship can't be ascertained, they shoot to kill. Yeah, very interesting, as always. Both Koreans and Krogans fucked over by their history, right? But it's so compelling to see how differently it shaped their future. Alright, and now for the religion. The ancient Koreans practiced ancestor worship. Even after abandoning faith for secularism, Koreans continued to revere the wisdom of elders. As time passed and technology advanced, they inevitably turned their knowledge to preserving the personalities and memories of the elderly as computer virtual intelligence. Oh my god! They are uploading their ancestors into PCs? These recordings became a repository of knowledge and wisdom, stored in a central databank and available through any extranet connection. Now I feel bad. What if the rogue AI that we freaking killed in the very last episode had a Korean origin? Shit. They held no illusions that this was a form of immortality. Like all virtual intelligences, their electronically preserved ancestors were not truly sapient. Oh, yeah, true. This was considered a surmountable problem. Sapiens could surely be reduced to simple mathematics. The Koreans began exhaustive research into creating artificial intelligence so they could learn to escape the bounds of mortality and give their ancestral records true awareness. Unfortunately, the life the Koreans created did not accept the same truths they did. They just destroyed the ancestor databanks when they took over. Oh fuck, man. Holy shit, this is such a cool element of the lore. So they were creating the AI to breathe life into their ancestors, but they created the Geth, and the Geth destroyed their databanks. This is tragic. I was thinking also while reading this, was like, oh my god, man, they gave you know, the tools to the ancestors, and like their ancestors for whatever reason turned on them because of that. That'll also be a cool twist on this whole thing. In the centuries since they evacuated their homeworld, most Koreans have returned to religion in various forms. Many believe that the rise of the Geth and the destruction of their ancestors were chastisement. Yeah, I think that's what I'm talking about. For arrogantly forsaking the old ways and venerating self-made idols. Others have a more philosophical outlook, believing that their race was indeed arrogant, but no supernatural agency lay behind the Geth revolt. Rather, the Quarians' actions wrought their own doom. Either way, every Quarian would agree that their own hubris cost them their homeworld. So fucking cool. That is so fucking cool. Moving on. Sadly, we are definitely, you guys must have noticed my attitude towards all of the cultural and religious and alien related stuff. It definitely is my favorite. The technology and how the ships operate, you know, a little bit less hyped about that one, but it's okay. There are some gold nuggets in here also. We don't discriminate here. What do we have here? The Citadel lore, awesome. Serpent Nebula. Yeah, when did we mention? I totally remember the Serpent Nebula name being dropped, but when was this? Was it during Gara's backstory? Can't remember. The Citadel is surrounded by a blue-tinted reflection nebula. The light of the nebula is actually light from the Citadel, scattered and reflected back at the station. Really? At first, the Serpent Nebula was assumed to be made of microscopic construction debris. Prevailing theory holds that the Protheans used molecular nanotechnology to manufacture the incredibly durable materials used in the Citadel, but unlike other nebulae, that's a funny looking plural in here. It's like cactus and cacti sort of a situation, or alga and algae, however the fuck you pronounce that. But unlike other nebula, the serpent does not dissipate over time, therefore it must be replenished constantly. The current popular theory is that the non-recyclable waste collected by the Citadel's keepers is somehow rendered down to the atomic or molecular level and ejected into the cloud. I'm always in awe of like how advanced this future is for humanity and other races and science, but still the space they occupy is so uncharted at the same time, and people are not sure how things work. The thick nebula presents a navigation hazards. Beyond the relatively clear areas around the Citadel, electronical discharges are common. These are not blocked by kinetic barriers and can severely damage metal-framed starships. In addition, some dense knots of dust can overwhelm the repulsion of kinetic barriers on smaller ships. If such a vessel is moving fast enough at the time, the effects are similar to being hit by a sandblaster. Attempting to reach the Citadel through open space navigation is unadvisable. The only safe approach is through the various mass relays that orbit it. Very peculiar. Okay, what do we have next on the table? Humanity and the Systems Alliance. Geological Survey. What is this? When did we get this? Is it... it might possibly be related to arriving at a star system and then surveying some of those planets, and it gives us additional data in regards to them. As the human race expands its territory and raises the general standard of living, demand for industrial resources continues to grow. Many planets, moons, and asteroids contain a wealth of resources, but many systems have barely been charted, let alone thoroughly surveyed. Unmanned probes are one solution, but they are often lost to space hazards, unforeseen circumstances, or theft by salvagers. In recent years, AGES, the Alliance Geological Service, has offered bounties to private individuals or teams willing to perform mineralogical, whatever that means. I mean, I I know the word mineral, and I know logical, not necessarily the combination of the two. Whatever. Um, willing to perform mineralogical surveys on the frontier. This survey data is made publicly available to further corporate development. Due to the cost of travel and the dangers of operating on hostile worlds, it is rarely a profitable endeavor. Okay, and what do we have here? Things that you can find. Light metals. Metals with low atomic weight are often used in the construction of spacecraft and vehicles. Heavy metals, metals with higher atomic weights, are used to construct equipment components. The platinum group elements are particularly useful. Rare earths. Most useful materials in this category are radioactives or magnets, and gases, for whatever reason, not in capital letters. Various gases are required to support all known forms of sapient life. Some are commonly used as fuel, so that sounds important. Do wonder whether this is like just an error on the part of, you know, the QA team over here, or just gases are not as important as all of the aforementioned. Yeah, we probably got that one when we were scanning those planets around. Huh? And the very last category, ships and vehicles. We have 3 over here. I thought we are close to finishing up, but guess not. Okay, general tactics for the space combat. Learning more and more about the space combat. Will we see any of that in the next episode when we will be traveling to all of those places? Shells lofted by surface navies crash back to Earth when their acceleration is overwhelmed by gravity and air resistance. In space, a projectile has unlimited range. It will keep moving until it hits something. Makes sense. Makes sense. Although space, right? It's not like I believe when you push something in space and you give it this acceleration or whatever the fuck. I'm using scientific terms that I have no idea about, but hear me out, right? It will not necessarily go on forever because, you know, space is not necessarily empty. I believe it's filled like with debris and like it can be filled with dust, and no matter how minuscule it is, right, getting through that will require force, right, that diminishes with every particle of dust that this object interacts with. And I'm probably talking out of my fucking ass or something, but I believe that's how it works. Practical gunnery range is determined by the velocity of the attacker's ordnance and the maneuverability of the target. Beyond a certain range, a small ship's ability to dodge trumps a larger attacker's projectile speed. The longest ranged combat occurs between dreadnoughts, yes, whose projectiles have the highest velocity but are the least maneuverable. The shortest range combat is between frigates, which have the slowest projectile velocities and highest maneuverability. Makes total sense. Opposing dreadnoughts often open with a main gun artillery duel at extreme ranges. capital letters, extreme ranges of tens of thousands of kilometers, the fleet's close, maintaining evasive lethal lateral motion while keeping their bow guns facing the enemy. Fighters are launched and attempt to close to disruptor torpedo range. Cautious admirals weaken the enemy with ranged fire and fighter strikes before committing to close action. Aggressive commanders advance so cruisers and frigates can engage. It is all very much interesting and all, but this is the very first instance of me reading a lore, like lore here, and thinking to myself, man, this could like fuck over like writers in the future, right? That want to toe the line, considering, you know, being in line with the law, but like writing a scene in their mind and then executing it on screen. So much stuff is already laid here for like future sequences that we have not seen. The entire outcome and how they say it, the entire battle, right, is laid out to us in here before we even like see it happen on screen, in a way, right? How a battle should play out, a template in a way. So okay, I can totally see like the writers having trouble keeping all with all of that lore. Aggressive commanders advance so cruisers and fighters, frigates can engage. At long range, the main guns of cruisers become useful. Friendly interceptors engage enemy frigates until the attackers enter the range of ship-based guardian fire. Dreadnoughts fire from the rear, screened by smaller ships. Commanders must decide whether to commit to a general melee or retreat into FTL. At medium range, ships can use broadside guns, fleet intermingle, and it becomes difficult to retreat in order. Ships with damaged kinetic barriers are vulnerable to Wolfpack frigate flotillas that speed through the battle space. Yeah, more and more it shapes up like that, a scene from Revenge of the Sith, in my mind at least. Only fighters and frigates enter close knife fight ranges of 10 or fewer kilometers. Okay. The knife fight ranges are 10 or fewer kilometers, I see. Fighters lose their disruptor torpedoes, bringing down a ship's kinetic barrier and allowing it to be swarmed by frigates. Guardian lasers become viable weapons, swatting down fighters and boiling away warship armor. Neither dreadnoughts nor cruisers can use their main guns at close range. Laying the bow on a moving target becomes impossible. Superheated thrusters exhaust becomes a hazard. Yeah. Do wonder whether like boarding a ship is like a possibility during space combat, like at all. That's kind of like a staple of some of those sci-fi intellectual properties, right? It's like, there's the biggest ship of the enemy. We have to send a small team to, you know, destroy them from the very within. Weapons disruptor torpedoes. Disruptor torpedoes are powered projectiles with warheads that create random and unstable mass effect fields when triggered. These fields warp space-time in a localized area. Fucking space-time. Those are powerful motherfuckers. And the rapid asymmetrical mass changes causes the target to rip itself apart. In flight, torpedoes use a mass-increasing field, making them too massive for enemy kinetic barriers to repulse. This extra mass gives torpedoes very sluggish acceleration, making them easy prey for defensive guardian weapons. So torpedoes have to be launched at very close range. Torpedoes are the main anti-ship weapon used by fighters. They are launched from point-blank range in ripple-fire waves, reminiscent of the ancient Calliope rocket artillery launchers. Thus their popular nickname Callies. Calliope rocket artillery launchers. Not necessarily sure what it refers to. As it says, like, as it refers to, like, ancient technology, right? I think this is something I should be familiar with, but doesn't ring a bell. By saturating defensive Guardian systems with multiple targets, at least a few will get through. Huh? And Guardian, the very last on the menu for today, rather lengthy. A ship's general area defense integration anti-spacecraft network rolls off the tongue perfectly. Guardian consists of anti-missile, anti-fighter laser turrets on the exterior hull, anti-fighter and anti-missile laser turrets. Because these are under computer control, the gunnery control officer needs to do little beyond turn the system on and designate targets as hostile. Since lasers move at light speed, they cannot be dodged by anything moving at non-relativistic speeds. Unless the beam is aimed poorly, it will always hit its target. In the early stages of a battle, the Guardian fire is 100% accurate. It is not 100% lethal, but it doesn't have to be. Damaged fighters must break off for repairs. Lasers are limited by diffraction. The beams speeds out, decreasing the energy density, watts per square meter. The weapon can place on a target. Anti-high powered laser is a short-ranged weapon. Like, can you like hold up a mirror in order to deflect that into the turret? Guardian networks have another limitation: heat. Weapons-grade lasers require cooldown time, during which heat is transferred to sinks or radiators. As lasers fire, heat builds within them, reducing damage, range, and accuracy. Goddamn heat. Always messes with the technology of Mass Effect. Fighters attack in swarms. The first few will be hit by Guardian, but as battle continues, the effects of laser overheat allow the attackers to press ever closer to the ship. Constant use will burn out a laser. Guardian lasers typically operate in infrared frequencies. Shorter frequencies would offer superior stopping power and range, but degradation of focal arrays and mirrors would make them expensive to maintain, and most prefer mechanical reliability over bleeding-edge performance. Where lives are concerned. Salarians, however, use near ultraviolet frequency lasers with 6 times the range, believing that having additional time to shoot down incoming missiles is more important. Interesting. We don't know that much about Salarians in comparison to other races, right? I mean, already in this episode we've learned about that spy system, that espionage group that they have going for them, but it really hurts our Salarian knowledge, the fact that we don't have like a Salarian on our team. Lasers are not blocked by the kinetic barriers of capital ships. However, the range of lasers limits their use to rare knife fight range ship-to-ship combat. Alright. I guess we are done. Wow. That was a lot, but at the same time, this time I managed to get through all of that in a relatively not that lengthy episode. We are still under 1 hour, and I was talking about in the very last codex reading episode that my brain was absolutely baked after all of that knowledge was inserted into it. So, you know, having these codex reading sessions be, you know, not as long as that very second one is definitely advisable. Good thing I decided to hit the stop button, considering our playthrough where I did, and, you know, do this whole thing, right? All right. Many interesting things. just the more I read the codex, the more I am interested in the Mass Effect universe, and I think to myself, ooh, how many of these interesting, things that we find in here will play a role in like a action sequence, for example, next time, or in a plot-related sequence, right? Where we interact with the Geth, or a more in-depth basis. Ooh, the Quarians, they seem so interesting, and the Solarians also, man. It's also always my reaction to those. All right. But I think that's going to be it for today. Thank you very much for watching. See you guys also the following day for an ordinary episode in which we'll be, going into the unknown and checking all of those side missions related to, what was it called? Related to the UNC. I still don't know what that stands for, but guess we are checking it out one way or another. Yeah, but I guess that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys very much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, but remember to do it only if you feel like it. It's always appreciated though, because it helps the channel a great deal. And speaking of the channel, also check it out. There's like a growing library of blind playthroughs in there that make you pique your interest. Thank you once again for watching and going on this huge and lengthy Mass Effect journey with me. See you in the very next one, and bye bye. Take care of yourselves, beautiful people, and stay safe out there. Bye bye.